Dusty Gulch and the Dog Show. Dusty Gulch wasn't much to look at. A single, sun-baked main street, a smattering of clapboard houses clinging to the parched earth, and a water tower that always seemed on the verge of toppling over. But what Dusty Gulch lacked in aesthetics, it made up for in heart. Neighbors knew each other's names, shared what little they had, and always lent a hand. And once a year, that heart beat a little faster, a little louder, for the Dusty Gulch annual dog show. It was more than just a competition. It was a celebration, a chance to forget the hardships of ranching, farming, and simply surviving in this unforgiving landscape. Townsfolk spent weeks preparing their prized pooches, brushing their coats until they gleamed, teaching them tricks, and dreaming of the coveted blue ribbon. The air would buzz with excitement, the scent of barbecue and anticipation mingling in the dry desert breeze. For Lily Mae, the dog show was the highlight of the year. She'd grown up hearing stories of her grandmother's champion collie, a legend whispered in hushed tones around the supper table. This year, however, Lily Mae wasn't just a spectator. The sun was already high in the sky when Lily Mae burst out of the farmhouse, her pigtails bouncing. "Morning, Pa." "Morning, Ma," she called, grabbing a bucket from the porch. Her father, a sturdy man with weathered hands and kind eyes, was already in the barn, milking Bessie, their only cow. "Morning, Lily Mae," he grunted, a smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. "Ready to earn your keep?" Her mother, humming a cheerful tune, was tending to the chickens. "Don't work her too hard, Thomas," she called, throwing a handful of feed to the clucking hens. "The dog show's only a few days away and she needs her energy." Lily Mae grinned. "Don't worry, Ma. I can handle it." She headed towards the well, the wooden bucket bumping against her leg. The water was cool and heavy as she hauled it up, the rope biting into her hands. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was honest. And it was hers. She carried the water to the vegetable patch, where rows of struggling tomatoes and peppers fought for survival in the arid soil. As she watered them, she couldn't help but glance towards the barn, where Rusty, her scruffy terrier mix, was usually snoozing in a patch of sunlight. He wasn't there. "Rusty," she called, her voice echoing across the farm. "Here, boy." Silence. A knot of worry tightened in her stomach. Rusty never wandered far. He was her shadow, her confidant, her best friend. Where could he be? "Rusty," she called again, louder this time, abandoning the vegetable patch and heading towards the barn. Her father emerged, wiping his hands on a rag. "What's all the commotion, Lily Mae?" he asked, his brow furrowed. "Rusty's gone," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I can't find him anywhere." Her father sighed. "He probably just chased a rabbit. He'll be back." But Lily Mae wasn't so sure. Rusty was getting old. His joints ached and he wasn't as quick as he used to be. What if he'd gotten lost? Or worse, injured? "I'm going to look for him," she said, her voice firm. All right, her father conceded, seeing the determination in her eyes. "But be careful. And don't go too far. The dog show's almost here and we need your help getting ready." Lily Mae nodded, already halfway down the dusty track that led away from the farm. The sun beat down on her back as she walked, calling Rusty's name, her voice growing hoarse. She scanned the horizon, her eyes searching for any sign of her beloved dog. The thought of the dog show, once a source of pure joy, now felt hollow. How could she possibly enjoy it without Rusty by her side? He was supposed to be there, barking encouragement as she showed her prize-winning pumpkin, wagging his tail with pride. A prickly pear cactus snagged at her skirt, pulling her back to the harsh reality of the desert. Finding Rusty was all that mattered now. The dog show, the blue ribbon, the cheers of the crowd, none of it meant anything without him. Lucky's discovery. The creek bank was slick with mud, clinging to Lily Mae's worn boots with each anxious step. "Rusty?" she called, her voice thin against the rustling cottonwoods. The sun was sinking, painting the sky in bruised purples and oranges, and the encroaching dusk made her worry no harder. Rusty, her family's aging cattle dog, hadn't returned from his usual afternoon ramble. She followed the creek further than she usually dared, the water gurgling a lonely tune. A flash of white caught her eye, nestled amongst the reeds. Lily's heart leaped, thinking it was Rusty's tail, but as she drew closer, a whimper, weak and high-pitched, pricked the silence. It wasn't Rusty. It was a pup no bigger than her two hands cupped together. He was mostly white, with patches of tan brindle swirling across his back. One of his front legs was twisted at an unnatural angle. Matted blood stained the fur around the wound. He shivered, his ribs stark beneath his thin coat. Lily knelt, her own fear momentarily forgotten. "Oh, you poor thing," she whispered, reaching out slowly. He flinched, his dark eyes wide and filled with pain. She gently stroked his head, murmuring soothing words until he stopped trembling so violently. He smelled of wet earth and fear. Carefully, she scooped him into her arms. He was surprisingly light. His whimpers turned to soft sighs as he nestled against her chest, seeking warmth. "I'll take care of you," she promised him, her voice thick with emotion. The walk back to the homestead felt longer than it ever had. The pup felt fragile in her arms, a tiny, broken thing. She imagined the coyotes, the hawks, the endless dangers lurking in the prairie grass. He wouldn't have lasted the night. The kitchen was warm and bright, a haven of safety. Ma was at the stove, stirring a pot of something that smelled faintly of beef and onions. Pa sat at the table mending a bridle. "Lily May, where have you been?" Ma asked, her brow furrowing with concern. Then she saw the pup. "What's that you got there, darlin'?" Pa asked, his voice softening. Lily carefully laid the pup on a clean flour sack on the kitchen table. "I found him by the creek, Pa. He's hurt." Ma rushed over, her hands gentle as she examined the pup's leg. "Looks like a bad break," she said, her voice grim. "Poor little fella." Lily explained how she found him, her voice trembling slightly. "He was all alone. We can't just leave him, can we?" Pa studied the pup, his gaze thoughtful. "He's a scrawny thing. Probably won't make it. We have to try, Pa. Please." Lily pleaded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Ma placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. "We can try, darlin'. We'll clean him up and see if we can set that leg." Lily fetched warm water and a clean cloth. She gently cleaned the matted blood from the pup's fur, revealing the extent of the injury. He whimpered softly with each touch, but he didn't try to bite. Pa, with his calloused hands and years of experience tending to livestock, carefully examined the break. "It's a clean break," he said finally. "We can splint it, but it'll be a long road." They worked together, Pa fashioning a splint from small pieces of wood and cloth, Ma holding the pup still, and Lily offering soft words of encouragement. When they were finished, the pup's leg was encased in a makeshift cast. "Now, we need to get some food into him," Ma said, pouring a saucer of milk. The pup lapped it up eagerly, his tail thumping weakly against the table. As Lily watched him eat, a wave of warmth washed over her. She knew, deep in her heart, that this little pup was meant to be here. Later, tucked in her bed, Lily couldn't sleep. She crept back to the kitchen, where the pup lay nestled in a box lined with blankets. He was sleeping soundly, his breathing shallow and even. "I think I'll call him Lucky," she whispered, stroking his soft fur. "Because he's lucky I found him." Pa came into the kitchen, a lantern illuminating his face. "Heard you stirring," he said, his voice low. "You know, Lily May, sometimes the smallest things can surprise you." He paused, looking down at the sleeping pup. "All right, he can stay. But you're responsible for him. Understand?" Lily nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Yes, Pa. I understand." She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to nurse Lucky back to health. She knew, somehow, that this pup, this small, broken creature, was going to bring a bit of luck to their hardscrabble lives. Bart's boast. Lily May carefully maneuvered Lucky's makeshift sling, trying to avoid jostling his broken leg as they navigated the bustling street. Dust devils danced between the wooden buildings of redemption kicked up by the relentless prairie wind and the heavy boots of ranchers in town for supplies. The air hung thick with the smells of leather, sawdust, and frying bacon emanating from the Golden Spoon saloon. "Easy there, Lucky," she murmured, adjusting the worn blanket beneath him. He whimpered softly, his brown eyes wide and trusting. She wished she could explain to him that this trip to town was necessary, that Doc Finley might be able to set his leg properly. Suddenly, a shadow fell over them and the cheerful chatter of the street seemed to dim. Lily May looked up to see Bartholomew Bart Sterling, the cattle baron, standing before them, his face a mask of disdain. He was a large man, his belly straining against a meticulously tailored vest, a gold watch chain glinting ostentatiously across his expanse. Well, Bart drawled, his voice thick with amusement. "What have we here? Looks like someone's been dragging a mangy mutt through the mud." He let out a hearty, booming laugh that echoed down the street, drawing the attention of several passers-by. Lily May felt her cheeks flush with anger. "He's hurt, Mr. Sterling," she said, her voice tight. "He broke his leg." Bart's eyes narrowed as he took in Lucky's pitiful state. "Broke his leg, you say? Serves him right for trespassing on Sterling land, most likely. Probably chased after my prize-winning heifers." He chuckled again, a cruel sound that sent a shiver down Lily May's spine. Lucky whimpered again, burying his head further into Lily May's arms. He's just a pup, Lily May retorted, her hands trembling slightly. He wouldn't hurt anything. A pup? More like a nuisance, Bart scoffed, adjusting his hat. Waste of space, I say. You should just put him out of his misery, girl. Save yourself the trouble. Lily May's grip on Lucky tightened. I would never. Bart's gaze drifted over Lily May, taking in her worn dress and the determined glint in her eyes. Sentimentality is a weakness, girl. Especially out here. You'll learn that soon enough. He paused. Then a smug grin spread across his face. Speaking of prizes, have you heard? Princess Fluffybutt is a shoo-in for Best in Show at the county fair this year. Her coat is simply magnificent. Her pedigree impeccable. Cost me a pretty penny, she did. He launched into a detailed description of Princess Fluffybutt's grooming regime, her diamond-studded collar, and her rigorous training schedule. Lily May tuned him out, focusing on Lucky's soft fur beneath her fingers. She could feel the pitying glances of the townsfolk, but she refused to meet their eyes. And the way she prances, Bart was saying, completely oblivious to Lily May's disinterest. The judges will be eating out of her paw, I guarantee it. This year, Bartholomew Sterling will finally take home that blue ribbon. He puffed out his chest, his eyes gleaming with self-importance. I'm happy for you, Mr. Sterling, Lily May said flatly, eager to be rid of him. But we need to get to the doctor. Bart waved a dismissive hand. Run along then. Don't let that thing bleed all over the street. He turned and strode away, his laughter echoing behind him, leaving Lily May feeling a mixture of anger and helplessness. She straightened her shoulders, ignoring the stares of the onlookers. Come on, Lucky, she whispered. We'll show him. We'll show them all. She carefully shifted his weight and continued down the street, her steps firm and resolute, a newfound determination burning in her heart. She would get Lucky well, and somehow, someway, she would prove Bart Sterling wrong. A promise to Lucky. Bart Sterling's cruel words still stung like nettles. Lily knelt by Lucky, stroking the velvety softness behind his ears. He's blind to your spirit, Lucky, she murmured, her voice choked. He can't see your courage. Sensing her distress, Lucky offered a lick to her hand, his tail thumping a muted rhythm against the cabin's time-worn planks. She refused to let Bart's callous judgment dictate Lucky's future. He was so much more than his injury, and she vowed to prove it. The following days blurred into a frenzy of purpose. Lily foraged for medicinal plants in the surrounding meadows, her grandmother's well-thumbed herbal guiding her. She concocted a healing compress of comfrey and arnica, its aim to quell the inflammation in Lucky's leg. The pungent, earthy aroma permeated the small space. Carefully, she applied the poultice, swathing the limb in clean linen strips. A soft whine escaped Lucky, yet he remained still, trusting her ministrations. We'll mend you, boy, she crooned, stroking his muzzle. We will get you better. She understood she couldn't offer a complete cure alone. Lucky needed a skilled hand, a veterinarian's expertise. But Bart Sterling's jeering seemed to hang in the air, a constant hurdle. She would need to draw on every ounce of resourcefulness, unwavering determination, and a generous dose of luck. Beyond the herbal remedies, Lily dedicated herself to bolstering Lucky's confidence. She began with basic commands, using savory jerky as enticement. Sit, she'd say, holding the treat tantalizingly above him. Initially, Lucky appeared bewildered, his good leg exhibiting a slight tremor. Yet Lily persisted, patiently repeating the instruction, rewarding even the smallest effort to lower himself. Gradually, almost miraculously, comprehension dawned. His tail would wag tentatively as he lowered his haunches, his gaze locked on the promised reward. Good boy, Lucky. What a good boy. Lily would erupt, lavishing him with praise. Stay proved a more formidable challenge. Eager to please, Lucky would instinctively try to follow her as she stepped away. With gentle firmness, Lily would guide him back, repeating the command with unwavering resolve. Days passed before Lucky finally grasped the concept, remaining steadfast, his eyes tracking her every movement, his entire being vibrating with anticipation. One afternoon, during a stay session in the yard, inspiration struck. Lily seized a small, polished stone and presented it to Lucky. Fetch, she directed, tossing the stone a short distance. Lucky watched it fall, ears pricked with attention but remained rooted to the spot. Lily knelt beside him. Come on, Lucky, she encouraged softly. Fetch it. She gestured towards the stone. With hesitant steps, Lucky limped towards it, sniffed it inquisitively, and then, to Lily's utter amazement, gently grasped it in his mouth. He bore it back to her, depositing it at her feet. Lily whooped with unrestrained joy, engulfing Lucky in a bear hug. You did it. You fetched. You're the best dog imaginable. That evening, as twilight painted the western sky in a vibrant tapestry of fire and lavender, Lily sat with Lucky on the porch. He rested his head heavily on her lap, his breathing rhythmic and calm, gazing out at the limitless expanse of the prairie. A fierce resolve ignited within her. I promise you, Lucky, she murmured, threading her fingers through his dense fur. I vow to do everything in my power to help you. I won't allow Bart Sterling or anyone else to dictate your future. The breeze carried her pledge across the plains, a solemn promise witnessed by the watchful descent of the sun. The dog show wager. The savory scent of frying bacon wafted from Maeve O'Malley's diner, a comforting counterpoint to the brisk morning air. Inside, the Tuesday regulars buzzed, their chatter focused less on crops or cattle prices and more on the unlikely pair, Lily May and Lucky. That girl's got a heart bigger than Texas, croaked old man Hemlock, his voice like dry leaves rustling as he nursed his coffee. Taking in that half-starved thing, nursing him back to health, and just look at him now. Acts like he owns the whole darn county. Martha Jenkins, the baker, concurred, her round face glowing with warmth. I hear she's even entering him in the Founders Day show. Imagine that, up against all those pampered show dogs. A chorus of approving murmurs rippled through the small space. News of Lily May's dedication had spread like prairie fire. The makeshift splint, the unwavering determination that had resurrected Lucky from near death. The people of Dusty Gulch, weathered by drought and misfortune, held resilience in high esteem. And Lily May, with her unshakable spirit, was its very embodiment. Bart Sterling, a sneer twisting his features, had been silently draining a whiskey at the counter. He finally shattered the quiet, slamming his glass down with a sharp crack that cut through the din. That worthless mutt? Winning? You're all dreamers. His voice dripped with contempt. My Antoinette is a thoroughbred, a champion. Pedigree stretching back generations, flawlessly groomed. That scruffy stray hasn't a prayer. He spun on his heel, the sound of his polished boots sharp on the wooden floor. As he reached the door, he delivered one last pointed jab. Remember my words. That fleabag won't even get an honorable mention. He'll be the laughingstock of the entire show. The sun, an unforgiving eye in the sky, baked the dusty street outside. Fueled by whiskey and inflated ego, Bart swaggered towards the Silver Dollar Saloon, the epicenter of Dusty Gulch's social life and its gambling scene. He found the usual group of ranchers hunched over a poker table, their faces etched with worry. Sensing an opportunity to display his affluence, Bart strolled into their midst. So, I hear you all chattering about Lily May's stray, he announced, his voice ringing through the smoky air. Think he stands a chance in the competition? A few guarded shrugs and mumbled agreements were all he received. No one wanted to antagonize Bart Sterling. He gave a harsh, humorless laugh. I'll tell you what. I'm so sure the dog is going to fail miserably, I'm willing to back it up with cold, hard cash. $500 says Lucky doesn't even crack the top three. The room fell silent, stunned. $500 was a king's ransom in Dusty Gulch, more than many earned in a month of grueling work. Jedediah, a grizzled cattleman with a penchant for risk, finally spoke. That's a hefty wager, Bart. Because the outcome is guaranteed, Bart sneered. That girl might have a good heart, but sentimentality doesn't win prizes. It takes bloodlines and training. He leaned casually against the polished bar, his eyes scanning the crowd. So, who's brave enough to challenge me? $500 says that mutt goes home empty-pawed. The tension in the air thickened. Several men looked tempted, the allure of quick money glinting in their eyes. But the thought of betting against Lily May, the underdog, the very soul of Dusty Gulch, held them back. Finally, a young ranch hand, barely a man, hesitantly stepped forward, his face pale but resolute. I'll take that bet, Mr. Sterling. Bart's eyebrow arched in amusement, a predatory grin spreading across his face. And what exactly are you wagering, son? Your horse? Your saddle? The young man swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing nervously. I don't have $500, but I can wager my wages for the next 6 months. A collective gasp swept through the room. It was a monumental commitment for someone so young and just starting out. Bart's eyes blazed with triumph. He had his prey. All right, son, Bart said, extending a hand. You're on. Let's see if kindness and compassion can truly best a champion. They shook, sealing the audacious agreement. Dog Show Day. Dusty Gulch buzzed like a disturbed hive. Banners proclaiming Founders Day Dog Show flapped merrily from every lamppost. The aroma of frying onions from Mrs. Higgins' food stall mingled with the sweeter scent of freshly baked apple pies cooling on windowsills. Even the dust seemed to dance with anticipation, kicked up by children chasing stray tumbleweeds and the occasional excited bark of a pampered poodle. Lily May, her stomach churning with a mixture of nerves and excitement, walked beside Lucky as they approached the town square. Lucky, surprisingly, seemed unfazed by the commotion, his tail wagging with a steady rhythm that offered Lily a small measure of comfort. She brushed him until his patchy fur gleamed under the morning sun, and she'd even managed to fashion a small, slightly crooked bow out of a scrap of gingham to tie around his neck. Every eye seemed to turn their way as they entered the square. Whispers followed them like shadows. Lily kept her gaze fixed ahead, focusing on the makeshift stage at the far end where Agnes Peabody, the town's no-nonsense schoolteacher and judge for the day, was meticulously arranging her judging table. A low murmur rippled through the crowd. "Look at that mutt," someone snickered. Lily squeezed Lucky's lead a little tighter. He didn't flinch, but she felt a surge of protectiveness wash over her. He was more than just a mutt, he was her friend, her companion, and he deserved to be here just as much as any fancy pedigree. Then came the entrance. A gleaming, cherry-red motorcar, polished to within an inch of its life, sputtered its way into the square. Bartholomew Bart Sterling sat in the back, a smug grin plastered across his face, while his driver, a nervous-looking man in a chauffeur's cap, struggled to navigate the crowded space. And then there was Princess Fluffybutt. The pampered Pomeranian, perched on a velvet cushion in Bart's lap, was a cloud of white fur, adorned with a diamond-studded collar that probably cost more than Lily's entire house. She yapped incessantly, a high-pitched, irritating sound that grated on Lily's nerves. Bart spotted Lily and Lucky. His grin widened, morphing into a sneer. Well, he drawled, his voice dripping with condescension. "Look what the cat dragged in. Thought this was a dog show, not a charity event." A ripple of laughter spread through the crowd. Lily felt her cheeks burning. She refused to meet Bart's gaze, instead focusing on Lucky, who was now staring intently at Princess Fluffybutt, his tail still wagging, albeit a little slower. Bart continued, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "I do hope you're not planning on entering that creature." Princess Fluffybutt here would simply be mortified to be on the same stage. He let out a booming laugh, joined by a few of his sycophantic friends. Agnes Peabody cleared her throat, the sound cutting through the laughter like a knife. "All right, everyone, let's settle down now. Mr. Sterling, perhaps you could park your vehicle and allow the other contestants to prepare." Her voice was stern, but there was a glint of amusement in her eyes. Bart, momentarily deflated, muttered something under his breath and directed his driver to park the car. He scooped up Princess Fluffybutt, holding her aloft like a prize trophy, and strutted towards the judging area, casting one last disdainful glance at Lily and Lucky. Lily felt a wave of doubt wash over her. Bart's words had stung, and the laughter of the crowd echoed in her ears. Was she crazy to think that Lucky, with his broken leg and mismatched fur, could possibly compete against a dog like Princess Fluffybutt? She looked down at Lucky, his brown eyes filled with unwavering loyalty. He nudged her hand with his wet nose as if sensing her distress. In that moment, Lily knew she couldn't back down. Not for Bart, not for the laughter, not even for her own fear. She had promised Lucky she would give him a chance, and she wasn't about to break that promise. Talent and loyalty. The air crackled with anticipation. Banners proclaiming Harmony Creek Dog Show, celebrating canine companions, flapped in the gentle breeze. Lily May clutched Lucky's leash, her knuckles white. Bartholomew Bart Sterling, resplendent in a tailored suit that seemed entirely too formal for a dog show, stood a few feet away, Princess Fluffybutt perched on a velvet cushion. The poodle, meticulously groomed into a cloud of white fluff, didn't deign to acknowledge anyone. "Nervous, Lily May?" Bart drawled, a smirk playing on his lips. "Don't fret. Second place is still an accomplishment for a mutt." Lily May swallowed, refusing to let his condescension get to her. "Lucky's got more heart than that puffball has fur," she retorted, giving Lucky a reassuring scratch behind the ears. He responded with a happy thump of his tail against her leg. Agnes Peabody, the town's schoolteacher and the appointed judge, cleared her throat. A clipboard rested in her hand and spectacles perched precariously on her nose. "All right, contestants. Let's begin with the appearance category." Princess Fluffybutt predictably wowed. Bart presented her with the practiced ease of a seasoned showman. He described her lineage, the intricacies of her haircut, the imported shampoo used to maintain her pristine coat. Agnes Peabody scribbled notes, clearly impressed. The poodle, for her part, remained utterly still, a picture of pampered perfection. When it was Lucky's turn, Lily May felt a surge of panic. He wasn't a pedigree. He had a slight limp, a memento from his unfortunate encounter with Bart's cattle. But as she looked at him, his tail wagging, his eyes shining with unadulterated affection, her resolve hardened. "This is Lucky," she announced, her voice trembling only slightly. "He's a mix, I reckon, but he's got a heart of gold. He's loyal, he's brave, and he's the best friend a girl could ask for." She couldn't list off brands or bloodlines. She just spoke from the heart. Agnes Peabody smiled warmly, her gaze softening as she took in Lucky's earnest expression. She made a note on her clipboard, though Lily May couldn't decipher what it said. Next came the talent portion. Bart went first, instructing Princess Fluffy to perform a series of intricate maneuvers, each executed with robotic precision. The crowd applauded politely, more impressed by Bart's showmanship than the dog's actual enthusiasm. Lily May took a deep breath. This was it. "Lucky, sit," she commanded. He sat, tail thumping. "Speak." Lucky barked twice, a cheerful, enthusiastic sound. Then Lily May pulled out the old worn-out baseball she'd hidden in her pocket. "Fetch." Lucky exploded into action. He raced after the ball, snagged it in his mouth, and bounded back to Lily May, dropping it at her feet with a proud grin. He then proceeded to roll over, play dead complete with a dramatic sigh, and even shake with Agnes Peabody, who chuckled and patted his head. The crowd roared with laughter and applause. Lucky's performance wasn't perfect, but it was full of joy, energy, and genuine connection. Bart scowled. Princess Fluffy watched Lucky with what Lily May imagined was disdain. Finally came the loyalty test. Agnes Peabody explained the rules. Each contestant would place their dog in a designated spot, then walk a short distance away. The dog that stayed put the longest, demonstrating the greatest loyalty, would win. Bart confidently placed Princess Fluffy on her velvet cushion. The poodle remained motionless, seemingly oblivious to the world around her. Lily May positioned Lucky, whispering, "Stay, boy. Stay." Agnes Peabody gave the signal. Bart strolled away, turning occasionally to admire Princess Fluffy's stoicism. Lily May, however, struggled. Every instinct told her to stay with Lucky to reassure him. She forced herself to walk, her heart aching. Halfway to the designated marker, a squirrel darted across the field. Princess Fluffy, momentarily forgetting her rigorous training, lunged off her cushion, barking hysterically and chasing after the rodent. Bart sputtered in outrage, scrambling to regain control. Lily May stopped. Lucky hadn't moved. He sat patiently, his eyes fixed on her, his tail giving a hopeful thump. He whined softly, but he didn't break his stay. Lily May felt a wave of emotion wash over her, pride, gratitude, and an overwhelming love for her loyal companion. Agnes Peabody smiled, a twinkle in her eye. "Well," she announced, her voice carrying across the field, "I think we have a clear winner in the loyalty category." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices a chorus of approval for the little dog with the big heart. Bart stood red-faced, Princess Fluffy yapping at his heels, all traces of smugness gone. He knew then he'd lost something more than a simple dog show. The winner. Agnes Peabody adjusted the microphone, the slight movement boomed across the Harmony Creek town square. The sinking sun painted long shadows, transforming the dust motes into floating, luminous coins. A hush descended, all eyes locked onto the platform. Even the dogs seemed to grasp the import, their excited yaps softening to mere whimpers. Lily May tightened her grip on Lucky's leash, feeling the comforting tremor of his frame against her. Her heart hammered, a frantic rhythm of anticipation, a mixture of dread and aspiration. She stole a glance at Bart, ramrod straight beside a meticulously coiffed poodle, practically a miniature horse. The smugness had vanished, replaced by a pinched anxiety that sparked a tiny, guilty pleasure within her. Agnes cleared her throat, the sound crisp in the sudden silence. "Well, folks, what a truly remarkable dog show it's been. We've witnessed incredible talent, remarkable specimens, and an abundance of heart." She paused, her gaze sweeping over the sea of faces, briefly settling on Lily and Lucky. But of course, there can only be one victor. A palpable tension filled the air. Lily squeezed her eyes shut, silently pleading. After much deliberation and some spirited debate among the judges, Agnes continued, a mischievous sparkle in her eyes, "We are delighted to announce that the winner of the first annual Harmony Creek Dog Show is Lily May and Lucky." A roar of elation ripped through the crowd. The square exploded in a symphony of cheers, engulfing Lily and Lucky in a wave of pure joy. Tears welled in Lily's eyes, blurring the jubilant scene. Lucky, sensing her emotion, nudged her hand with his wet nose, tail whipping back and forth like a metronome gone wild. "We did it, boy," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion, burying her face in his soft fur. "We actually did it." The sound was deafening, a joyous cacophony. Above the din, she could hear Mrs. Henderson's ecstatic shriek and the ground-shaking boom of Mr. Abernathy's laughter. Even Sheriff Brody cracked a smile, his hand resting casually on his holster. Agnes Peabody, positively radiant, descended from the platform to offer her congratulations. "You were magnificent, Lily May," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "Lucky is a truly exceptional dog." She gave Lucky a gentle pat. "You both deserve this victory." The applause grew louder as they presented Lily and Lucky with an enormous blue ribbon and a gleaming silver trophy shaped like a dog biscuit. Flashbulbs erupted, immortalizing the moment. The Harmony Creek Gazette would have a field day with the story. Bart Sterling stood like a statue, his face a stony mask of disbelief and simmering rage. His poodle, sensing his owner's dark mood, emitted a low whine and tugged at its leash. The cheers seemed to ricochet off him, each one a stinging dart of humiliation. He shot Lily a venomous glare, then abruptly pivoted, stalking away with his unhappy poodle trailing behind. Lost in their euphoria, the crowd barely registered his departure. Still clutching the ribbon and trophy, Lily watched him go. A fleeting flicker of pity crossed her mind, but the sheer elation of her triumph quickly eclipsed it. She had silenced the doubters. She had proven that Lucky was more than just a dog with a broken leg, more than just a stray. He was a champion, pure and simple. As the sun slipped below the horizon, bathing the town square in a honeyed glow, Lily May and Lucky stood illuminated, the undisputed heroes of Harmony Creek. The celebratory clamor continued to reverberate through the valley, a testament to the indomitable spirit of hope, the reward of perseverance, and the profound bond between a girl and her beloved dog. The tempting aroma of celebratory pies wafted through the twilight air, and the promise of a lively party hung thick in the atmosphere. Even the crickets seemed to chirp a victory song. Lily knew this was a moment etched in time, a moment when she and Lucky had revealed their true mettle to the world. A change of heart. The taste of defeat was acrid on Bart's tongue. He hadn't just lost, he'd been thoroughly humiliated. The smugness that usually plastered his face was gone, replaced by a pale, almost sickly pallor. He watched Lily May being hoisted onto shoulders, Lucky licking her face with unrestrained joy. The crowd roared, a wave of sound that crashed over Bart, each cheer a tiny dagger twisting in his gut. He found himself shuffling towards them, a hesitant, awkward gait that was completely foreign to him. He stopped a few feet away, the scent of dust and dog shampoo thick in the air. Lily May, still flushed with victory, spotted him. Her smile faltered, replaced by a guarded expression. "Lily May," Bart began, his voice barely a whisper. He cleared his throat. I wanted to say congratulations. You and Lucky deserve to win." Lily May's eyebrows rose in surprise. Beside her, Lucky wagged his tail tentatively, his one good eye fixed on Bart. "Thank you, Bart," she said cautiously. "That means a lot." He dug his hands deeper into his pockets, his gaze fixed on the dusty ground. "And I'm sorry for being me. For underestimating you and Lucky." The apology felt clumsy, inadequate, but it was genuine. He truly was sorry. He'd seen the joy on Lucky's face, the bond between the girl and her dog, and he understood, perhaps for the first time, that winning wasn't everything. Lily May studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then a slow smile spread across her face. "Apology accepted, Bart. And thank you." Relief washed over him, a lightness he hadn't felt in years. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick wad of bills. It was the prize money he'd been so sure he'd win. I want to donate this," he said, extending the money towards Lily May. "For the stray animals in Dusty Gulch. For their care." Lily May's eyes widened. "Bart, you don't have to do that." "I want to," he insisted. "Please. Use it to help them." She hesitated, then gently took the money. "We will, Bart. We really will. Thank you." The news of Bart's donation spread through Dusty Gulch like wildfire. Initially, there was disbelief. Bartholomew Sterling, the cattle baron's son, known for his arrogance and disdain for anything less than perfect, donating money to help stray animals? It seemed impossible. But then the evidence was undeniable. Lily May, accompanied by Lucky, went to the feed store and bought a mountain of dog food, cat food, blankets, and medical supplies, all paid for with Bart's money. The town's perception of Bart began to shift. They saw him not as the spoiled, entitled son of a wealthy rancher, but as a young man capable of change, capable of kindness. The victory celebration for Lily May and Lucky took on a new dimension. It wasn't just about celebrating the underdog, it was about celebrating the potential for good in everyone, even those who seemed least likely to possess it. Mayor Johnson, never one to miss an opportunity for a good speech, declared the day Dusty Gulch Kindness Day. He praised Lily May for her compassion and Lucky for his resilience. But he also made a point of acknowledging Bart's contribution. It takes courage to admit when you're wrong. The mayor boomed, his voice amplified by a makeshift loudspeaker. And it takes even more courage to make amends. Bartholomew Sterling, you have shown us all that it's never too late to change, to learn, to be a better person. Bart stood at the edge of the crowd, feeling strangely exposed, yet strangely at peace. He saw the smiles, the nods of approval, the genuine warmth in the eyes of his neighbors. He even saw his father, standing tall and proud, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. For the first time, Bart felt like he belonged, not because of his family name or his wealth, but because of his actions. As the sun set over Dusty Gulch, casting long shadows across the dusty streets, Lily May approached Bart, Lucky trotting faithfully by her side. "Thank you, Bart," she said softly, "for everything." He met her gaze, a genuine smile gracing his lips. "Thank you, Lily May. You and Lucky, you taught me a valuable lesson." Lucky barked once, a short, happy sound as if agreeing with every word. Bart reached out and tentatively stroked Lucky's head. The dog leaned into his touch, his tail wagging furiously. In that moment, Bart knew that he was no longer the same person he had been. The dog show had been more than just a competition, it had been a turning point. He had lost the battle, but he had won something far more valuable, a change of heart.